right, we got some big time fights going down on Saturday night in Miami, UFC 314. I have some bets coming up courtesy of Bet99 here in a matter of minutes. But first, let us once again check in with the legend, Georges St-Pierre. George, comment ça va?
Très bien, thank you.
Très bien. Okay, so I'm going to get your thoughts on the main event and the co-main event going down here in Miami on Saturday night. A bit of a similar theme to both of these fights. You have an older fighter who is descending from his prime, taking on a younger guy who's on his way to his prime. So let's start with the main event. Alexander Volkanovski is back after a long layoff. You go over to Bet99. He is favored by -130 against Diego Lopes, who comes back at +100. Over-under rounds 4.5 with the under shaded to -130. So a big story coming into this fight. Volkanovski, he's been off for over a year. He's a bit older, 35 years old now, and he's coming off of 2 knockout losses. So usually if you have a fighter who's on the wrong side of 35 coming off of 2 knockout losses, it's a bit of a death sentence. But should we be viewing Volkanovski in his situation a little bit differently, considering who those knockout losses came against and the extenuating circumstances? Islam Makhachev, Ilia Topuria, a lot of people would consider them 1 and 2 in the world in terms of pound for pound fighters. And, you know, one was a short notice fight. The Topuria fight, he looked pretty good in the first round. Maybe he came back a bit early. So how do you view him in this situation coming into this fight here on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, he's not an ordinary fighter. He's Alex Volkanovski. And I think that year off that he took is the right thing to do. You need times to come back from a knockout loss. And I'm sure he had time to build up his confidence. And I'm sure we're gonna see him perform well. If it would be anybody else, I would say, yeah, you know, I would consider a big factor for not choosing him as the winner. But because he's Alex Volkanovski, it changes everything. However, Lopes is very dangerous. You know, he's got a lot of skills that can bring a lot of trouble. But I believe if I have to choose someone and pick someone as the winner for this fight, I would go with Volkanovski.
Yeah, I do really think you have to consider who those losses came against. And, you know, one was a super short notice fight against Makhachev. Then maybe a bit of a quick turnaround there against Topuria. So, yeah, I tend to agree with you there. So let's talk about Diego Lopes here a little bit. He's red hot coming into this fight. But one big knock on him is his cardio, that he kind of fades the longer a fight goes. Meanwhile, Volkanovski is a cardio machine. He's been in plenty of 5-rounders. He's won plenty of 5-rounders. Is cardio something you can train and get better at in the same manner as a striking technique or a grappling technique?
I don't really believe in cardio in a way that I think all the athletes in the UFC, when they fight at the elite level, they are optimal. They have their VO2 max at the optimal. What makes the difference is efficiency. If you don't fight your fight, you spend more energy. You're not going to be as economical if you fight your fight along your strategy. And I think experience is a big factor, especially for this coming fight. I think Volkanovski has a lot of experience, and I think that's gonna play in his favor. He's gonna dance his dance, and therefore, especially if we go into deep waters, I think it will favor him.
Yeah, I like those -130 odds. So one last question on this fight, then on to the co-main event. So Volkanovski, you know, one of the big talking points is that he is a little bit older coming into this fight. You spent plenty of time in the octagon yourself. Different fighters, different things fade as they grow older. Some guys lose their chin. Some guys lose their speed and quickness. Some guys' cardio gets zapped, I guess. As you grew older as a fighter, what, if anything, faded the most for you?
Well, the recuperation is different. You need more time to recuperate. And I would say generally another thing that fades is the reaction time and the decision-making time. You don't see things coming as well as you used to when you're young. but I would say that recuperation. But if you recuperate well, you know, you can bypass that. Another thing is the reaction times, and maybe it has something to do because they get, you know, you get hit more, you know, with times and damage on the brain. I don't know the reason why, but I think if I look generally speaking, that seems to be the case for most of the fighters.
Okay, let's drop down here to this co-main event, potential for a real firefight. Michael Chandler, Paddy Pimblett, the biggest test of his career. So you go over to bet 99. Michael Chandler is the underdog. Plus 125. A lot of people might be surprised by that. Paddy comes back at minus 160. Over under round set at 1.5 with the over at minus 170. Are you surprised to see Chandler as the underdog here?
Well, I can understand. Pimblett is the newcomer. He's young, fresh blood. But I'm surprised of how much Chandler is the underdog. So if someone believes Chandler will win with a furious knockout early on in the fight, that's the good fight for them to make the bet if they believe so. Because of, you know, Chandler is the underdog. But yeah, if I look at this fight, if it's a fight if this fight finished early, normally I would tend to believe that it favors Chandler because of his power and his ferocity and his explosivity. However, Paddy Pimblett is very good at not getting hit. You know, he's very good also on the ground, and I think it will help him going through the storm, especially early on in the fight. If it's the case, if Chandler is coming like for revenge, you know, he's coming hard, especially early on in the fight. So I would not count Paddy Pimblett out.
Okay, so I want to ask you about Michael Chandler and his approach to this fight. So in the build up to it, there's like a little bit of a friendly back and forth between the two, but Paddy's laser focused, talking about he's going to win, talking about his performance. It's going to be the best of his career and how he wants to, you know, fight for the title one day. Chandler's focus, it seems to be, we're going to put on a show. The fans are going to be the real winners here. Is it a wrong approach for a fighter or a bad approach for them to be more concerned about putting on an entertaining fight and putting on a show for the fans as opposed to, you know, the best path to victory?
It's a good question. So maybe it's a way they promote the fight, you know, it's also maybe a way to trick their opponent. They want to bring their opponent exactly where they want him to be. I think if Chandler has a chance to choose between winning a fight or making a show, I'm sure he's going to win. He's going to want to win the fight more than making a great show. You know, the show comes in third. For me, I always prioritize my safety first, then the win, and in third, the show for the fans. Maybe some fighters think different, but I'm inclined to think that most of them, they at least want to win first, you know?
Okay, let's talk about Paddy. So this is the biggest test of his career so far. This is a guy who's received a big push from the UFC. You know, they really put that marketing machine behind him. Fans turned on him a little bit after that Jared Gordon fight. A lot of people, myself included, thought Gordon won the fight, but that Paddy ended up getting the decision. But people are coming back around on Paddy after a couple solid performances. So do you think he has the potential to compete for the title in what might be the UFC's deepest division here?
100%. I mean, he's very charismatic. He's got his own style, and he's very skilled. And he could be, like, he's very skilled. He can definitely get there, win the title, and he's also very charismatic. He could be the poster boy, you know? Love him, hates him, but don't ignore him, sort of thing. You know what I mean? He's got that style, that charisma.
Yeah, big test. This could be a real firefight, same as the main event. So yeah, very good looking pay-per-view card here Saturday night in Miami. George, we will leave it at that, but we're going to have a lot more big-time fights to discuss here in 2025. So thank you for joining, and best of luck with any bets you place here on Saturday night.
Yes, sir. And play responsibly.
Always. All right, you heard from George. Now you're going to hear from me. My best bets for UFC 314. I got 3 of them, including something juicy at the end. So make sure you stick around. Let's start in the main event. I'm going to take Alexander Volkanovski to get that belt back, -130 odds. So I alluded to this in my conversation with George. I'm giving Volkanovski the benefit of the doubt, coming off those 2 knockout losses to Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria. Some extenuating circumstances, super short notice versus Makhachev, probably the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world right now. So short notice, up a weight class. It did not go his way. Then he turned things around way too quickly against Ilia Topuria. He did look good in the first round of the fight, but we do know what happened there. So Diego Lopes, a talented fighter, he's not in the same category as Makhachev and Topuria. Not even close. Super flashy, but Volk has dominated plenty of super flashy guys in the past. So Lopes, super dangerous in the first round. He does have a lot of first round finishes, but I do think he's going to slow down if Volkanovski can extend this fight, which I do think he can do. Watch out for the takedown. So Volk was extremely successful at getting the fight to the mat versus other super flashy guys in this weight class, Yair Rodriguez and the Korean Zombie. So don't be surprised if that is a big part of the game plan in the main event here on Saturday night. Volkanovski, one hell of a story. He's going to get that belt back on Saturday. Let's go down to the co-main event. So I'm with the old guy in the first fight. I'm going to go with the young guy here in the second fight. I'm going to take Paddy Pimblett coming in at -160 odds. I don't really love the number here, but there's no value in picking a loser, and I do think Paddy's going to pick up the W here. So Michael Chandler, very popular fighter. He's not popular because he wins a lot of fights, so is he? He's popular because he's in a lot of exciting fights. Just 2-4 in his last 6 fights here in the UFC. This is a guy who's taken a lot of damage, and that all gas, no break style, fun to watch, but it's not very effective versus top tier guys. So the question is Paddy a top tier guy? Well, I believe the UFC believes he can be. They put the whole marketing machine behind him. I think they've been ultra selective with who they put him in there against. And I do believe that they think they can make a lot of money with this guy. And that's why they put him in there with Chandler, who I think the matchmakers think that he can beat. He needs more marquee names on his resume, and a win versus Michael Chandler on that resume would look pretty good. I do think he bounced back pretty good from that Jared Gordon win. He did exactly what he's supposed to do. He beat up Tony Ferguson, which everyone has been doing over the past couple of years, and he had that nice finish over King Green in his most recent fight. And I talked to George about this as well. I like Paddy's approach to this fight. If you're watching the UFC embedded videos this week, he's very focused. It's all about him. It's all about the game plan. It's all about the W. Michael Chandler, the approach is it's all about putting on a show for the fans and being entertaining. How has that worked out for him in the UFC so far? A lot of fight of the night bonuses, not a lot of wins though. So I'm going to take Paddy to take another step here in the UFC. Okay, let's take a little bit of a swing here with my final bet. So Bryce Mitchell, interesting character. Not going to get into any of that, but there's a bet that I like to support Mitchell in this fight. So I think he's being really undervalued here against Gene Silva. I'm going to go to the prop market. I'm going to take Bryce Mitchell to win by decision plus 450 odds on this one. So Mitchell is a guy who's had a lot of success with getting fights to the mat, racking up those greasy control time minutes, which has led to winning rounds, which has led to winning fights. And I do believe that this path is going to be open to him against Gene Silva, who hasn't really been challenged against anyone significant in the takedown department. I do think that is very fair to say. So Mitchell has been in there with a much higher level of competition compared to Gene Silva. Now, unfortunately for Mitchell, he's been on the wrong end of some nasty knockouts in those high-level fights. But I don't necessarily think Silva's a good fighter. I don't believe he's on the same level as Topuria, maybe not even Josh Emmett. So yeah, he's been on the wrong end of a couple of nasty knockouts, Bryce Mitchell. But overall, take a look at the bigger sample size. He avoids a lot of damage. He's only absorbed 1.53 significant strikes per minute in the UFC. He's been in a lot of long fights, too. A lot of fights that have gone the distance. in a lot of these fights, he's barely taken any damage whatsoever. And like I said, I do believe he's being undervalued. It's all about the number on this one, though. Plus 450. If Bryce Mitchell wins, it probably will be by decision. So I do absolutely love it. Okay, there you have it. My best bets for UFC 314. That is our look at the big pay-per-view going down this weekend in Miami. Make sure you head on over to Bet99 to lock in your bets. Enjoy the fights. Best of luck with your bets, and we'll see you next time.